So we're hosting this session from the Hacky Teachers office in Copenhagen, me and Marie here. And we're here today to celebrate the graduation of class 11. This is the end of the journey of 8 months, but we'll get more of that in the end of the presentation. We're really proud of what they achieved during these 8 months. And we will present the final project, which is the product of their learnings. And this was a collaboration with Seasoning, and they're here with us today, also to see what we've developed for them. Just going to quickly go through the agenda, but before we have this little picture of our only presential session during the final project. So it started just before, the project just before COVID-19. So we're going to go through the little bit of the scope of the final project, and Susan will tell us a little bit about them as well. Then we'll have the students' presentations. During this presentation, you can write questions on the chat. We have Benjamin collecting them, and at approximately 6 o'clock, we will go through them and have the students and us answering them. And then we'll talk about the class 11 and their 8-month journey with the Hacky Feet, and have the graduation ceremony online. Okay, welcome. And I'm gonna give the word to Zaki. Zaki, can you grab the presentation? Can you?
Yep, 1 second.
Yeah. Zaki's going to tell us a little bit about the final project and why did we, or maybe Servet can go first.
Yeah, I think that was what we discussed before, so let's do that.
Yeah, Servet, can you grab
but just a quick question, Daniel, because I don't think I can see the chat window. So I was wondering if that's maybe turned off, or it's just something on my computer.
No, it's on.
Okay.
It's on.
Yeah. I'll just skip the protocol and shout if I have questions then.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can pass on the word.
At 6 o'clock, we can do it.
Can we guide people to where they can find the chat room if they haven't maybe tried WebEx before? I mean, not for you, Zaki, I know you know it, but there might be people that is...
Apparently I don't.
But there's like a small talking bubble if you hover over like the bottom of the page. There should be like a way where you can close and open the chat room, and that's where we would like you to write your questions during the presentation from the student.
Yeah.
I hope this makes sense.
And Servet, you should have powers of the presentation now. Can you see them?
Yeah. So the thing is, my mic and my camera is not working on my own laptop, but they're working on Christopher's laptop. So if you see Christopher speaking, that's me speaking, just so you know. Yeah, just to make it a little bit more complicated.
That's fun.
And then I see that I have presenter power. So what are you seeing on your screen? I'm seeing you, Daniel, and...
Yeah, I just see you.
You see like my face?
Yes, just your face.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Can you give Christopher presenter power instead?
Yes, sure.
Okay. All right. Giver det mening? Hvordan?
I think so. You press share.
Okay, we're a little bit confused.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
share Servet screen, the one that says Servet. That screen I want to share. So the presenter power should go back to me, the real me.
Yeah, it is served has the presenter power now.
Yeah.
And then you press share and then share content. And then you select screen 1.
Yeah, also preview. That has to be the right one, right? Yeah. All right. Sorry about that, guys.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, yes, so I'm Savet. I'm from Seasoning, one of the co-founders. With me today, I have Christopher and Erkan, who are also joining us for this graduation. So yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting us. Really nice. So we are a passionate team who are trying to design and develop the future vertical farms and the future vertical farming solutions. And we're doing this through high-tech robotics and automation. So the part that the graduation team has been working on is would fit under the automation part of this journey. So how exactly are we doing this? We're doing this with smart automated solutions, and we're trying to tackle the high labor costs that come associated with vertical farming. So there we go. So I wanted to take a little bit of time just to talk about what's in it for Seasoning and what's in it for Hack Your Future, in this, what's in it for us in this collaboration. And we were at one of the other cohorts graduation ceremony, and it was really cool and super inspiring what they managed to do. And we definitely just wanted to be part of something something great. So we talked to Daniel and Christopher and or Christoph, and yeah, we just thought, yeah, this is really cool, and we want to be part of this. And then there's also like the third part of it, which is it's a little bit, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to communicate what we're trying to do. And so that's also a little bit of a challenge for us to try to convey to you guys what kind of solutions we're looking for. So yeah, that's kind of what was in it, or what's in it for us. And then we thought a little bit about what's in it for Hack Your Future. And obviously it's a chance for you guys to show off what you've done. And I'm sure that you guys have done great. And it's also a chance to work on something that is a real world problem and something that is current and relevant. So here we're talking about our food supply that is kind of not scalable anymore. And we kind of have to find new ideas on how we can kind of make sustainable growth. So this is really a relevant and current problem. And then of course, the last point is that you guys get to graduate, which is a huge deal, and you should be really proud of yourselves for that as well. So the solution that you guys have been working on, I've only seen the material from Daniel, which have been pretty much all of it. And it looks really impressive. But the parts that you've been working on, the monitoring, diagnosing and tracking of plant parameters, growth parameters, alerting systems, and all these kind of things is not just a project that's like, you know, of course it should be fun, but again, it really is cutting the labor costs if done correctly. So really, again, here you're solving a real world problem. And I wanted to make sure that you understand that. Yeah. So I'll cut it short here, and I'll say thank you to everyone at Hack Your Future. I know that there's been a lot of work behind the curtains that we haven't heard about. So I know we put a lot of effort into it, and that's really cool. Also want to mention that the IoT workshop was really fun for me. And I feel like it was also fun for you guys. And yeah, it was just a really, really fun evening that turned into a fun night, but it was, yeah, very fun. And thank you for being so open to the idea of learning about something that is so vastly different probably from what you have learned in your courses at the Hack Your Future. Also, I would say have fun with your presentations. You're presenting your work. It's your passion. I hope it comes through and you present it as you want it to. And also, I want to say special thanks to Daniel. I know you told me not to do that, but it's very important to do this because you have been very patient with me. So thank you. And of course, I will leave a little cliffhanger, and that is that we are looking for front-end and back-end interns. So we will be watching closely. No pressure. Have fun. Yes. Thank you again, and good luck.
Yes, thank you. And now we will talk a little bit about the final project and how did we manage to grab the challenge from Savit. And Zaki will tell us a little bit about that and what did we do different with this final project, because all of them are different and we try to improve every time. Zaki, are you with us?
I'm with you, yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let me just make sure I share the right screen.
Yeah, you tell me.
Yep. Okay, so to anyone who don't know me well already, I'm part of the team who have been mentoring the final project, and together with Daniel, I've been kind of like planning the process for most of the final projects, since most of the time we've been running final projects. And it's kind of like from time to time we figure out some stuff that works, and we figure something that doesn't work so well, and we try to like improve from time to time. And for this project, one of the new things that we did was we did kind of like warm-up tasks. So we were fortunate enough that we had a couple of students who had some experience with UX design, for example. So we actually gave them the task to try to come up with a design for the platform. So we had like, before the project even had started, we had like a few weeks beforehand, we had like kind of a design iteration where we were like drafting up design and stuff like that. We had also had some students look into the authentication, and we had like a few other things where we kind of like started up some things even before the final project started. And in our experience, we end up like struggling to get everything done within the time frame that we have, and we also need to have the students explore a lot of new stuff, and there's always like a little bit of new technology for each project that's specific to that project that they need to learn. We also had some students looking into visualizations, by the way, which was really important for this project. So for these kind of things that we cannot like know beforehand, we cannot just like plot them down into like a final grid and know how everything is going to work. It's going to change from every project. And I think like being able to do it a little bit before the project started, that was like really helpful. Then another thing we did was that we normally whenever we do our sessions on Sundays, we start with what we call a stand-up, where it's kind of like a status about like what have every student or group of students, if they're working in groups, what have they been doing in the past week, and so we can get like up to date with the status. But the problem with that stand-up is that usually when you have like Scrum and stand-ups, it's something that you do daily, and if you have like a week in between stand-ups, and like that is also the session where we need to show them stuff and things like that, it's just too long in between. And on the other hand, it was kind of like it would be too much overhead to have actual stand-ups every single day on a conference call or something like that. So what we discovered was that we were able to set up a bot on Slack that simply just queries the students, what have they been doing yesterday, what are they planning to do today, and if there is if there are any impediments, something that's stopping them, holding them back, and then the bot will just like gather all of the answers for that and will post it out in the channel, and then makes it super easy for both me and Daniel to just like skim over that one and typically we would look for impediments, so we could like see if someone is stuck. But it's also really helpful for the students to be able to see what the other students are doing, so they're not like ending up doing the same work. And we actually set up Alice from the beginning of the project, and then kind of like fate would have it that we got Corona, and suddenly we were in a lockdown situation. So that was actually really good that we had that up and running, and it turned out to work really well, because suddenly this project just like turned into a remote project. It was never intended like that. For a long time, I had the idea that this could be done remotely, but we never went this far, and now we had to do it. And we're also faced with actually having the biggest class that we have ever had. So we have 15 students in this class. And that just like makes it's very difficult to run the classes because there's a lot of students who need to have answers to questions at the same time. I also find that the acoustics at Hack Your Future are really, really bad, so it can be really difficult to navigate what's going on around you. And to be honest, doing this on conference call, for me, it was amazing. Once people learn how to mute their microphone when they're not talking and stuff like that, it's actually easier to focus on what's going on. So I feel like we definitely lost some things in terms of like being forced to be remote, but I feel like overall we might have gained just as much by doing it remotely, because it also kind of like forced us to shorten down things a little bit and spread things a little more over the week rather than having everything take place on Sundays when we were physically together. It kind of like trained us to be a little bit more transparent about what we're doing, and hopefully I hope that the students feel the same way. Of course, they may not have had the chance. They saw a little bit of the project while we were not in a remote session, but I think it was only one class, right? That was like the main things that were different for this project compared to what we've done before. And I will let you judge as for how the result was, but personally I'm like really, really proud of what the students have been doing, and I think I'll pass on the word so they have a chance to show themselves. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I need, will you take over?
Yeah, we're gonna give power of presentation to Gizem. I don't know if you can just grab it, Gizem.
I'll try.
Yes.
So I will start sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can see my screen?
Yes.
So, hi everyone, I'm Gizem from Istanbul, Turkey, and I live in Copenhagen for 4 years, 4.5 years, and I will start as an intern next week at Wiser, so I'm very happy about it. So I will present you our project's wireframes, how we started with everything, and how we developed the UI design until the end. Svetlana and I were invited to start a bit early to work on the project because of our design background and experience. So we met with Daniel and Zaki 7 weeks before the official start. There was already a scope document from Seasoning, and we knew we were going to have a dashboard design at the end, but the scope was quite flexible, and we examined the graph styles, talked about what we can actually include in the project, and we thought of some iterations so we could just apply everything step by step. And Svetlana and I start to work with Figma. We first examined the company website, seasony.dk. We got the logo, we checked out the font families and styles they use. We thought we could also use the logo colors as our interaction colors. So then we first came up with mostly black and white wireframes to see how the information hierarchy would work. Then Zaki suggested, why not try neo-skeuomorphism as a design style, or neomorphism. I can understand if you're like, Neo, what? So it's a design style where UI elements have a minimal but realistic look, mostly characterized by shadow settings. We said okay and started to study the shadow styles for our elements. We tried different colors as our primary color, studied different form types, different styles and layouts, sidebar menu, sub-buttons, timeline bar, date range buttons. Everything evolved by the time. We also had a lot of discussions about what we actually offer in this app. Should we have a countdown to make it fun? Should we show possible delays in production? All these ideas were quickly developed, prototyped, and we moved on with the most convenient solution at the time. Then we finally delivered all these assets to our classmates. Since we used Figma, everyone could just check the design file and get the colors, font size, margin and padding settings, shadow styles. Even the component logic was already there, because in Figma you can create components and use them repetitively, just like in React with components and props. So that was pretty useful. After we started developing, we needed to create extra pages like a 404 page or the footer component. Or when we changed our database model, we needed a page for the batch list. We first created alternatives and then we used only the bare minimum and left the rest for later. So you must be curious now about the real-time demo. And before that, I would like to summarize my experience. What I learned with this project was, other than practicing what we learned during our course, we also learned new tools like Storybook, Next.js, Swagger. We had to troubleshoot a lot, especially for Git and MySQL on my side. So I really think I improved my development skills. How did we do it? With lots of hard work and collaboration. Reviewing and learning from each other's PRs was really the key. And the most fun part was to see the project deployed, and everything really became real. I would like to thank all Hack Your Future staff for this opportunity and support all along the journey. And of course, all our mentors, especially Daniel and Zaki, for their support along our journey. We are really grateful to them. And I'm really proud of being part of this community, and I'm looking forward to contribute from now on. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice evening. So now it's with Svetlana.
Yeah, thank you, Gizem.
Thank you.
Svetlana, can you grab the presentation?
Yeah, I think. Can you hear me?
Welcome. Yes, perfect.
Cool.
Now we can see ourselves.
Yeah, so let's start. Okay. So my name is Svetlana. My background is in graphical design, but I would really like to become a software developer. As Gizem said, once we have finished the wireframes and design in general, or almost finished, that was the start of doing development of the app. And it was a little bit challenging in the beginning to follow the design and to finish everything on time. But I think I can say that we did it. So I would like to show you what we did, like our demo of the app. So let's go to the website. Since this is only for Seasonize users, every user has to have email and password to log in and to access all other pages. If user forgot password, there is also opportunity to reset the password, and then the user can log in with new credentials, with new password. Once the user is logged in, the user can see dashboard, and you can see that the main focus is on showing charts for every sensor. So there are 5 charts for temperature, humidity, water pH, water EC, and water level. There is also, and yeah, you can see by default last 5 readings for every sensor. There's also a possibility to see status box. For example, we can see that current stage is maturity and that harvest will start in 2 days. And progress bar is also there to show some of those data in more visual way. If the user wants to see more details about the specific sensor, for example, temperature, the user can click on the temperature chart and it will open temperature graph details page, where the user can see all sensor readings from the beginning of the production of the batch till today. And there is also possibility to, for example, show only sensor readings for last 5 days. From the sidebar menu, user can go to other graph details pages like humidity, for pH, for EC, and for water. There is also possibility to see batch details page, where user can check specific information about that batch. For example, what is the crop that was seeded and what was the seeding date, how many pots were seeded, and who is the customer. If user has admin's rights, user can also add batch with same information. So you can choose the crop and start date and number of seeded pods, customer name, and everything else. At the end of the session, user can choose to log out. So this was demo. I hope you like it. I would also like to talk a little bit about my journey and what have I learned with this project. I learned a lot on both front-end and back-end. And I can definitely say that I understand now why the website ohshitgit.com exists. And of course, if you don't know what to do it, just stash it. It was really challenging and exciting working in this team with so many great developers. And I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to learn React and Node.js and Express.js and Next and Storybook, and to learn about databases like MySQL, MongoDB, Firestore. And I would also like to give special thanks to all mentors that supported and helped us. Yeah, without you guys, I'm not sure how we will survive this, but we did it. And I think we did it awesomely. So yeah, thank you all.
Yes, thank you, Svetlana. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Clap, clap, clap. Yeah, we lose a little bit of the atmosphere with this remote setting. Yes, and now we have Srilanta. Srilanta, can you grab the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Daniel.
Yes.
I will share my screen.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Yes. Good evening. Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Myself Srilata Vallabhaneni, originally from India. I have completed a master's in signal processing from Blekinge Technics of Högskolan in Sweden. I have 2 years of experience as a software tester, and I thought to switch my career to developer. Fortunately, I got an opportunity from Hack Your Future. Then I started my career as a full stack developer, and I have been in Denmark for 5 years. I would like to present DOM components and how did we use them into our project. DOM components are also known as presentational components because their only responsibility is to present something to DOM. There will be no logic at all inside this component. We can use them for reusability and easy to make changes. This component is often just JavaScript functions and only has a render method. It also doesn't have any internal state to manage. However, it still can receive some data and function from the parents via props. As a part of component development, we used prop types to type checking. At the time of developing drop-down component, this warning was raised on the console. That is invalid prop value of a type, but type number supplied to drop-down expected string. Because an invalid value is passed by a prop, your drop-down component of a value prop type is string, but the passed value type as a number. The big thing here is required. It tells whoever consuming this component certain props are required in order to function properly, otherwise it ensures this kind of warnings. So we rectified all those warnings by using prop types. All DOM components can go into Storybook. When the project is in its early stages, we created all these individual components and then combined them together to build up an app. We created a button component that have a login button, logout, cancel, delete, and so on. This button component created in one place and used several times throughout the app, so that we maintained dry pattern here. Don't repeat yourself. It helped us to prevent from hunting for the same code we wrote in multiple areas of our application. So we followed this and made the component reusable and we solved a great deal of time. I learned from this project how to work with the team and review PRs. It was challenging to understand others' code, and I learned from their code too, and I learned new tools and etc. I would like to thank all our mentors and organizers for their help and support throughout the course. Thank you.
Thank you, Saralanta. Yeah. So who's next in Mamata? Can you grab the presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, it's loading.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am Mamta and I am from India. My educational background is Masters in Computer Applications from India. I was fascinated by web development, so I started with Hacky Future last summer. Today, I will talk about React in our project. We used React hooks, as hooks reduces the complexity of the component and allows us to use the stateful logic between the components and also handles rendering. UseEffect is a single function that handles the side effects. For passing the props from one component to other component, we used Context API. This is a way that essentially creates a global props that can be passed around the app. Here you can see, if you look at this, we passed the props to this progress bar using Context API. It takes the start date, current date, and the stages as props, and it displays the current date of the batch. And we can also see there are different stages of the batch like seeding, propagation, maturity, so on. We also had some routes which we made login as a public route and all others private route. If you look at this sidebar nav, we have different buttons and each button navigates to different private route. And even the list items on the right side, even the list items on the dashboard dynamically navigates using the params so that it can change the data based on the params. If there is no route existing, it will redirect to the 404 page. We also had some challenge like loading time. We should manage the loading time when we are calling the API. So we created some asynchronous functions to check the status and the response of the API in loading the data. On the right side, you can see the loading component which we used in meantime. And I would say that not only the story, like my friends mentioned, not only the storybook techniques and with all the stuff, we also learned that reading and understanding others' code. And we also learned to develop a code on the top of someone has built and to write a code that others can understand. And would like to thank you each and every mentor and organizer who helped us through this journey and made us to stand here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now the word is for Adil. Adil, are you with us?
Yeah, hi. Looks like I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, let me share my screen then first. And okay,
You can see it?
is it there?
Yes. Yes, it is.
These things. Okay. A little bit about me. I'm Humayun Adil, and I did Networks and Information Security Masters from King's University London. And a really good addition in my introduction is Hack Your Future. I learned full stack development here. And I also had a little bit experience in networks and information and system support. Did some lectures back home as well. And on the lighter note, I love to eat and making friends and wishing birthdays and easygoing kind of person. We have learned, and the journey with the Hack Your Future, I've learned a lot, like starting from HTML all the way up till React and then project. But today I'm going to just talk about backends. What did I learn? The backend is actually the programming, server-side programming magic, which is responsible for delivering data and services to the client. And it normally includes the servers, application, and databases, and the file servers. And we also learned creating APIs and routing using Express, and also the DB calls using Connects, and that ended up with the Node.js. How did we learn? How did we do it? As client request for the different resources that are served by the endpoints, which are routed through the API's router. So how did we implement it? We implemented it by the controllers, functions that are responsible for the DB calls. And if you can see here, the first example I have is the batch controller. So in here, we have a DB call on the right side, which is getting an ID for the batch, and it goes on the batches table and selects all the fields. And if it finds any batch with that related ID, it returns back that batch. And that batch is then called in here. This function is called in here in the get router. It's a function call from the client. It's some different kinds of requests, like it's a get request or it's a post request. It depends on the user if he wants to see the data or if he wants to add the data or update the data. So in this basic example, it's only viewing the data. So that's why the router is listening on the get request and getting the batch ID. And of course, then it's getting authenticated. And if he is authenticated, then it goes on to the controller function where it gets the data, and then that data is transferred as a JSON to the client. And if you see on the left where I've shown you the front end page with the batch ID number 1, it will the information delivered from the backend will be shown on the front end. Another good backend we worked on was the crop stages, where we have to implement or respond with an object that will be feeding this progress bar that is responsible for showing overall progress of the batch. So here we are just getting a batch ID, and on that batch ID, we're just getting the seeding date and seeding date from that batches table. And then crops table is responsible to feedback these all the stages with the different number of days the stage has to go through. And then at the end, we are making an object that has the seeding date, start seeding date, and the current date, and all the stages. And then that is being routed back as a GET request, of course, with authentication if the user is authenticated. And then it populates this progress bar on the dashboard. And of course, another router, this is one of my friends. It's again a GET request, and the router and the backend is responsible for giving all the crops. And this, as I told earlier, that we have different kinds of requests from the client side. So this one is the post request. One of my other friend coworker, they worked on this this backend controller, which is responsible for adding batch records in the batches table. And finally, these controllers are linked with the routers, and all these routers are then exported in a common file, which is API router, and all these routers, you can say, these are imported and then given a link with a API path. Yep, that was it. And the most fun part of all this learning was that like every successful man has a woman behind it, but every successful developer has a big and hardworking team behind. So with the help of all our team members and the mentors, we got it done. And at the end, I would like to thank you all, my team members, my mentors, and especially Zaki and Benjamin, Daniel, everyone. I can tell everyone because the first day when I was in JavaScript, I can still remember when we were talking about APIs, and I only knew the name, its application programming interface. But now I can tell that what API is. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you. And great presentation. Now we have Mahi and then Axel, both talking about the databases of this project. Are you there, Mahi?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi all.
Hello.
Hello.
I think let me on my camera. So, hi all. This is Mahi, and I am basically from India, and I have been here like. Hello.
Yeah, Mahi, you have to change to the presentation screen. So. You're still on WebEx, at least that's the window showing.
I'm showing something. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're sharing now.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, sorry for this interruption. And this is Mahi from India, and I used to be a software tester. Basically, I love to cook and spend time with family and friends. Now pursue to be a developer. Here in HYF, I learned to write some piece of code which is different. From testing, and also I understand next migration and seeding script for database handling. How did we do it? We struggled, we Googled, and we discussed with the mentors, and we learned and we did it. There are many challenges we faced during migration and seeding. I'm going to share two of them. We had a hard time in fixing a typo on the foreign key through migration and seeding script. Second, creating separate PRs for seeding and migration. We had always faced error for seeding. And this is the guy FK Crops ID, and this is the small mistake, and we faced a lot of problem on our endpoints. And this is the second challenge what we faced. And in the initial stage, it was very challenging while creating PR for migration and seeding, as the seeding was throwing error because migration hasn't been merged. It took us quite a time to understand why it happens, and some time occurs, then after we understand that we should push the code in one PR for seeding and migration. Let me explain it's in my way. For me, I relate the migration as a parent and seeding as child. When the child cries, that means throws error when the parent are apart. And most fun part of during this period is these two guys, Travis and Yeslint. And when we push the code in the GitHub, that time we always excited and afraid to wait that okay, these guys will be happy, then they will pass this as green, otherwise they will give this crossbar. And whenever it is passed and I can see this green, then my situation is like this. Okay, thanks all for our HYF community and mentors. Without your support, this journey was not possible for us.
Thanks, May. You went very fast
Thank
over
you.
the first question. Could we maybe see the first one again? The first problem that you had?
Okay, so yes, of course. Okay, this is this one. The crops ID? Are you
Yeah.
talking
What
about?
what was the challenge here? What did you do to fix it?
This is the challenge because of this crops ID. This is the typo, small typo. This because of this, it's impacted because some tables are FK crop ID and some table the crop stage ID. If you remember, it was like FK crops ID, and when it is impacted on the mostly on the endpoints because of this typo.
Right. Yeah. So it was not pluralized, right? And then when you are using migrations, you have to like write a new migration every time you make like the tiniest little mistake, and you cannot go back and change anything in the past. So
yeah. Yes, I agree with you, and we discussed about it a lot of time, and I learned mostly that if you do the migration, never go for change the old migrations, always create a migration, but we can change the seeding.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you just went a little faster over this one, so I just wanted to to see what it was actually about. Thanks, it was really good.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And special thanks to all of you who all are here for our graduation day. And thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation, Mahi.
Thank you.
Axel, can you grab the presentation? Are you with us? Can you hear us? Yeah, we cannot hear you. I don't know if you're muted. Axel, we cannot hear you. Can you hear us, Axel? Next to the yellow button at your right, you have the Viren.
You can see on the list of participants that he is unmuted, so I think there's something wrong with the microphone, headset, something.
Yeah.
He just sent a message to Slack. Did you see it?
Axel, maybe try to take the headsets if you're using headsets. Are you using headsets, Axel? Okay, Axel, I'm gonna ask you to try to fix it. Try to use another microphone, and we're gonna jump to the next presenter, and then we go back to you. Okay?
Probably a good idea to disconnect and connect again.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to him over Slack and figure it out and run the presentation. So after Axel, I think it's Miroslava. Oh, it's Ricardo. Okay, Sonia, can you grab the presentation and play the video and then move on with yours? Sonia?
Maybe worth noting for anyone who doesn't know that Ricardo had back surgery today, and it went well, but he's still under anesthesia. I don't know if he's actually spectating now or, but he recorded a video for us for the presentation. So
Yeah, he is. Sonia, are you here with us? Sonia?
yeah, she's writing in the chat that she can hear.
Yeah. Okay.
You, it looks like you still have your microphone muted.
Okay, I'm just gonna play Ricardo's video then, and we'll move on. So, like Zaki was saying, Ricardo had a surgery today, and he recorded a video. And he's a Brazilian American living in Denmark with his wife and dog, or cat. It's Victor, but it's a cat. And is a student that started in Odense, but he will tell you more about it on the video. So let's see if we can play it.
Okay, Daniel, he shared in the Slack channel as well. Maybe you can just grab it from there.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody, for this. When you start with the wrong foot,
I mean, like the classes went amazing over WebEx, but apparently it's a little more difficult with presentations.
Yeah.
Also taking the presentation to new heights, both having different screens and different, like the video now. I think it's brave.
Where's the video? I'm sorry, Marie. Where's the video exactly? Which channel?
Yeah, I guess class 11, but
Class 11.
Sorry to interrupt you, but okay, I need a link.
Just scroll up a little bit more, Daniel, then it's there.
Okay. Thank you, Benjamin.
Yeah.
Okay, here you are.
Hi, I'm Ricardo, and this is my Hacker Future journey. I started in the first class held in Odense, at the same time class.
I'm just going to pause it a little bit. And
Hi, I'm Ricardo, and this is my Hacker Future journey. I started in the first class held in Odense, at the same time class 11 was starting in Copenhagen. Our class in Odense was smaller, shorter, and due to travel distance, we didn't have any study groups. But the high level of mentorship was the same as in Copenhagen. After we were finished with the class in Odense, I was invited to join the class 11 in Copenhagen for the final project. It was a bit challenging for me at first because it was clear to me that my classmates for the final project had a deeper understanding of the topics that we studied. But they made me feel welcome and part of the group immediately, and the collaboration was seamless from the start. For this app, we implemented the Firebase API references on the front end and middleware's authentication authorization on the back end. Once the user logs in, the credentials are validated, and before they access the database, the JWT, that stands for JSON Web Token, it's encrypted and sent to the backend, which is decrypted and checked by middlewares to grant access to the database. We also decided to implement rules for the users. It was not a project requirement, but we wanted to give the users different levels of authorization for writing, reading, and deleting data from the database. To achieve that, we created 3 types of roles: super admin, admin, and user. Only the super admin has the authorization to delete data from the database. The fun part for me was developing the app with my classmates, together in different groups, solving development issues, and slowly seeing the application coming together, component by component. I have enjoyed the Hacker Future program, process, final project, and overall it was challenging at times, but it was very satisfying. I made new friends. I am part of a community now that I am proud of, and I will continue to be part of this community, trying to give it back and help some new developers and new students. And I also would hope to apply my new skills in a future web development position. Now, my classmate Sonia, she will present middleware with authentication and authorization on the back end. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Ricardo. And we all hope that you get better soon. And now it's Sonia. And then we'll try with Axel again, yes. Sonia, can you grab the presentation? Can you hear us, Sonia?
Cannot hear you.
Hi. Benjamin, can you grab the presentation token?
What, sorry?
Can you grab the presentation? Because I just jumped it to another person.
If I can get the presentation?
No. Never mind. I grabbed it again. Okay. Sonia, we cannot hear you. Are you there? Is your microphone working?
Looks like she's there. You are unmuted, so there's something else wrong.
No, we cannot hear you. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna jump. Maybe try to disconnect from WebEx and connect again. And who's next?
Should we see if Axel works now, so we know if it actually works to reconnect?
Yeah.
Do that. Axel is back and unmuted. Can you try to talk now, Axel?
Axel, can you hear us?
Now you're muted, Axel.
You seem to be muted.
Yeah. You have to unmute Axel, then let's see if it's working.
Yes, it seems like you're muted, but we cannot hear you.
Can you try to just take your headset out and use whatever microphone there's in the computer? Hopefully there's one. Just try not to have the audio on the computer too loud.
Yeah.
I can see he's typing on Slack right now.
Okay.
It all went very smoothly yesterday with the sound in the rehearsal. That's nice to know, right?
It does work, but apparently now the. But Axel, I'm gonna jump and I'm gonna ask you to disconnect from WebEx and connect it again. Okay. So Miroslava, can you have the presentation, please? And let's hear Miroslava. Yes. Can you hear me, Miroslava?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Oh, you can hear me.
Ahead.
So that's surprise. Okay, can you see my screen also?
Yes, but we don't see yet. Now we see the presentation.
Okay, so this part will be about the charts and status box. And my name is Miroslava. I came from Slovakia and I really like to be here in Denmark. I have a financial background and degree in economics. And I really enjoy to be a student. And it was really nice experience here in Hack Your Future. I would like to talk about the recharts because this is a package we choose for our project. Recharts is built on top of React and this library. We found it easy to work with and well maintained. As you can see, in the example of the code, all the components of recharts are clearly separated and it really looks similar to React code. The client for this project gave us the following requirements. The graph should be a line chart and it can display sensor reading values and dates. Also display minimum, optimum, and maximum values. And chart should include a range bar to have a better visibility of the dates. Here you can see how the chart looks, and I would like to show you how the code is connected with the chart. So, for example, this component reference line, it is actually this green optimum line, and it's showing optimum values. And you can style it as you wish with properties. Reference area. This is this gray, light gray area in the chart. And again, you can choose how it will look like, what color it will be, where it will start and where it will end. And last piece of code is a line, and it is actually the line of the chart. And again, Richards offers a lot of properties you can use to style it. Richards has also some limitations. Some of them were easy to solve by custom functions, and some of them we solved just partially. For example, this range bar, in the beginning we styled it, we had a visualization of it different, but it ended up like this, and I think it's usual that in the project, in the beginning you have some idea, but in the end you find out that not everything is possible to do. And I think it was not that difficult to create the chart itself, but bigger challenge it was to connect it with the correct information from database to show correct sensor reading values, and also to make it look nice for all the different values. Yes, so. And that required a lot of testing and more people involved. And last picture, as you can guess, this is my home office setup. Make a project during Corona time. It was really challenging for me, but also interesting, and I learned a lot. I learned how to use my time even more effectively, and it was fun. And thank you for your attention, and I will leave the next part about status box for Get. Thank you.
Thank you, Miroslava. Great presentation, by the way. Now we're going to try Excel again.
Hope we solved the two sound issue situations.
But I don't see Excel online. Maybe Sonia is online. I guess they're both starting the machines. WebEx. Okay. So who's next? No presentation.
Hi.
Ken? Yeah.
Hi, Daniel. Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Hello. Yes, we can. Yeah, we can see your screen. Go ahead.
Okay. Good day, everyone, and thank you all for watching and supporting us up until this day. It is my pleasure to be a part of this project and working with my team. And let me tell you a little about myself. So I'm a graduate of I'm sorry.
No worries, take your time.
Can I minimize this one? Okay. So once again, let me tell you something about myself. So I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Information Technology. I have 2 years work experience as remote desktop specialist in Accenture. And I've been with Hacky Future UNSA for 8 months as one of their pioneering class. And I'm also an au pair here in Denmark, and at the same time, an intern at Gigi Suite, and I'm from Cebu, Philippines. So this part here, this is the one of the areas that I've been working on with the project. It's called the status box. So it is part of our dashboard. So the information that we listed here is taken from our database, and we in this part we selected our batch number 1. So this is our progress bar, and they are almost the same information here. So our days left to harvest is from this day, from the the day it is matured up until the harvest date or our seeding date. And then the days left to end the batch is from this day up until the final day, which is delivery day. And the current stage, which is propagation, it is from day 0 up until this day. And the production start date is our harvest date. And the production end date is the day, which is the final day of the crop. So this part here, it shows the summary of our crop status. And before, when we started this project, we first created a dummy component, which is a storybook. In this part here, we also use knobs in which we can input data and see how the values will come up and see if how the components will come after we created and everything. And after that, we then added the code behind the complex calculation for the data here. And we did that by creating an API endpoint, and we test the endpoint to see the data using Postman. That way, it will be simple for us to extract the data. And the last picture here is one of the few examples of our statuses. So we have on time, check pH. It would also depend on the sensors that we get from the data that we present on our dashboard. And just so you know, the information that we set here is we use default values for now, but in the future, it will be dynamic, or it will be set so that the user can customize it depending on their needs. And what I have learned so far on this project and in Hack Your Future in general is basic to complex JavaScript algorithms. And also working on this area alone, I was able to develop my front end and back end skills by making use of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and also creating API endpoints. And I did it by revisiting all my notes, classes, and help with our cool mentors in Hack Your Future. And the fun part of this one for me is the struggle for making things work and making lots of mistakes, but at the same time still learning. And of course, eating a lot of food just to make or just to relieve the stress. And of course, lastly is making friends. And that's it. Again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Just a moment. Just going to check. We have Axel with us. Axel, should we try?
The sound of someone.
Yeah, we hear.
Was somebody just getting killed or something?
No, I think it was an exciting.
Axel, can you hear us? Okay. Let's try Sonia. Sonia, can you hear us?
Yes, Daniel.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Can you grab the presentation?
Sure, I would. And sorry for that technical issue.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my screen.
Yeah. It's still black, but I believe it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. It's on its way. Yeah, I shared it. I'm sorry, but can you see my screen?
Not yet. Maybe try to unshare it and share it again.
Okay. Okay, just give me a second. I'm just checking it.
Make sure that you're sharing the screen where you're going to present.
Hvad siger du?
Yeah, sure.
Ja. Jeg kan lige, jeg slår bare lige videoen fra.
It says something about sharing over here, like I need to check my settings for share, but I'm not sure where I can do that.
You had a Mac, right? I think you need to update your system preferences then.
Yeah, det gør det. Der er
Oh,
technical
really?
issues.
You need to restart WebEx as well.
But I changed the laptop. Actually, I switched to another laptop. I'm not using the same. But I don't
That one doesn't have the yeah.
share the content.
Yeah, share.
Okay, Sonia, let's try like this. I'm going to share your slides and you tell me when to change slide, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to grab the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, that's
Nå, men jeg er sådan lidt, om hun er allergisk over for det.
And
Yes.
Ja, prøv at gøre det.
can you all see? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Det er sgu fint nok.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm from India. I have bachelor's degree in pharmacy. I'm fascinated and passionate about web development.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about authentication and authorization security. The next slide. The challenges we had in this topic was to understand the terms and implementation in our project. Some examples came to rescue to clarify them. The next slide. Yes. Data or resources has to be protected. That is significant and risk factor in digital world. And the next is identification. As you can see, identity is your name. In digital world, it is username or email. The next is authentication. Is a proof of identity like a passport. In digital world, it is password. And yes, and how did we achieve that in the project? Is by adding user credentials to Firebase, which is a tool used to implement security in the project. And yes, then to handling credentials. So now only the users who have credentials would be able to log in. What if any other user tries to log in? The checks are in place, which shows the user that they are not correct identifiers or authenticated to login. And the next comes authorization. It's specifying access rights, privileges to resources. And so, yes, as you can see the boarding pass here, it gives you access to board only that specific flight, not whichever flight you want to. And this request here, when a user requests a resource, it goes through a request from the front end in the project, which would attach user info in the form of token. In the next slide is to verify it on the backend. So along with the request, the token is verified on the backend with middlewares in place, which not only does that, but communicates with roles table in database and also checks if the specific role has permission to access. And yes, content comes. And yes, and this is one of the example we have. It's delete batch endpoint. For example, this endpoint can, role super admin can only delete a batch, so only he can access. As you can see, there is a middleware in place called check if authorized and a parameter as roles as super admin. And if any other user with other roles try to access it, gives an error of unauthorized error. And the next slide. Yeah, and all the endpoints in this project are protected with security. And by all users are protected using authentication middlewares. And the learning from project are, I have learned, the next slide, please. Yes, I have learned Firebase on backend, Storybook UI components, and also deployment. And it was also working together and we made it remotely. And my overall HYF journey is when I started my HYF journey, I was expecting to learn coding along with others. But now, through my journey, it is not only about coding, it's meeting great people and get a lot of help from mentors, study groups, and being part of this community. And I thank each and everyone. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Nice presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for that, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Sonia. You did great, even though that this was a little bit difficult. Should we try Amjad? Can you hear us?
If she's tired, she's tired.
Yeah? Okay. Are you able to grab the presentation?
Yes, sure.
Yes, thank you.
Can you see my screen, please? Hello.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Amjad, originally from Pakistan. I did my master's in computer networks from Sweden, and I came to Denmark in almost 9 years ago. And my Hackney Future journey started almost 8 months ago in this program as a full stack developer. And today I would like to talk about the collaboration, because we were almost 15 people in this project, and how did we manage that and how we did collaborate through this project. Actually, we contributed our knowledge and skills and expertise for the benefit of this shared objective, and we got closer to each other, we helped each other. So how did we do that? Actually, we hold a lot of many discussions, meetings, and sharing the different apps. For example, through the Slack, Git, and VS Code sharing, and we had daily stand-ups, and also we did code reviews and full PR reviews. And hence we try to learn the others' code as well. So what was the challenging for me in this working with the Git and ESLint companies? Initially we had a lot of problems, but later we learned how to resolve those conflicts. And finally, I would like to thank Future Management and all my mentors, and also all my classmates who have been and supported me to this journey. Thanks, all of you.
Thank you, Amjad. Let's hear from Christina now.
Hi. Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me? Yeah. That's a success.
Yes, and now you can see the screen.
Awesome.
Presentation, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hi. I'm Christina. I'm Croatian. I moved to Copenhagen 2 years ago. I have a business background, but I was interested in programming for a long time. So last year, thanks to Hack Your Future, I decided to swap Excel for a code editor, and I'm really glad I did. So during this project, I was in charge of deploying this app on Heroku together with Sonia. We started with a boilerplate project that consisted of a React app, an Express server, and all of the backend and frontend dependencies that we needed, like Knex, Storybook, and so on. And once we had that successfully deployed, a clone of that repo became our develop branch. So the GitHub repo was connected to Heroku, and all the deployments happened automatically as each branch was merged and pushed. The app also uses an add-on to provide a backing database. There's a large marketplace for add-ons from which we chose JAWSDB to provide our MySQL database. And what happens during the build process is that the build system fetches the dependencies specified in package.json, then creates an output in a folder usually called build or dist. Then this build output, together with the source code of the app and the fetch dependencies, is assembled into a so-called slug, as you can see here. And anytime we push a change to the develop repo, a new slug and a new release are created. This slug inside the Node.js runtime and together with the environment variables and add-ons represents an app release, which is deployed to a dyno. A dyno is basically a light virtualized Unix container, and Heroku then runs the app using a specified command, which was in our case npm start. This automated deployment saved us time, allowed us to immediately see the changes to the app and to keep it in check by immediately addressing all the errors as they came up. The challenge with this automated deployment is basically that the app might break after a merge and get you by surprise. But in our case, not much dependent on the app running all of the time. So in any case, whenever a build failed, we got a notification email from Heroku, so we would know to go look at the build logs and figure out the issue. This issue was usually a missing dependency or an incompatible version of a dependency or a broken file path or a missing environment variable or some other small thing like that. For me personally, this was a great way to get acquainted with Heroku's command line interface and to get faster at noticing and solving that kind of issues. I also became more persistent and patient about handling these errors that inevitably arise. And I think that wraps it up. And in the end, I'd like to say thank you to the entire community, especially to my class, the mentors, and the organizers. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're going to try Excel again. So let's make life a little bit easier. Axel, you should be the presenter now. Can you hear us?
Isn't like a phone call number you can call into to WebEx?
I think there is, but I'm not familiar with how it works.
No. Axel, can you just go to your microphone settings so we can see what you had for settings? Oh, now you stopped sharing, but while you're sharing your screen, if you try to go to your audio settings, maybe we can figure it out together.
And in the meantime, I mean, we're running a bit over time, but we will still have time if people have questions and stuff. So you're welcome to post questions in the channel, kind of all the presentations.
Axel, go to WebEx now. Yeah, this page. Speakers. What's going on with that high definition audio device? What options do you have? What can you choose? Okay, so you only have one microphone and the other one speakers. Do you have more options there?
Jamen, vil de til at putte allerede nu?
Speakers, højtaler. Yeah, I don't know. Choose brug systemindstilling, use system setting. I mean, it should be the same device, so I don't think it's gonna work, but it's the other one that from what was selected, so it's worth trying. Okay, yeah, so there's a tiny bit coming in, but it's just like really, really low level. But did you try just taking out your headset or whatever you're using? Okay, so now it's nothing. So maybe you don't even have a microphone built into your computer? In that case, I'm not sure what to do. Yeah, with the microphone, that's a problem. Is there like, if you're using a headset, is there like a volume adjustment or something like that directly on the headset?
No.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm out of ideas.
Okay, Axel, it was worth a shot, but we have to move on. Thank you for your effort on this. We know that you have a presentation, a good presentation.
Maybe a shot at a really crappy idea. If you could, Daniel, how about he calls you up on the phone and you hold the phone to the speaker? It's probably going to be terrible, but I mean,
I prefer not to subject 65 people to the situation.
Another stupid idea, but maybe Axel could try to just record a video on his computer and then just upload that video on Slack and we play it.
Yeah,
it's just emergency solution, but why not?
Yeah.
But where would the sound come from? Yes.
Yeah, it might be the same problem.
He doesn't have the video to share with us. But let's move on.
I'll just give one idea here. Maybe he can not use the telephone to record a video and upload. If he can have a telephone that can make video and do that. So,
yeah, Ricardo, let's not bring a discussion into this presentation. If you have other suggestions, please use Slack. Yes, and it's time to move on to our question session. Benjamin, did you gather any questions so we could?
There hasn't been any questions yet.
No.
Nope.
So I guess people can either say them out loud if they have some, or write them right now. We'll just give it a few minutes or so.
Yeah. Can we check? Yeah, I really prefer people to. What about? Yeah. If we don't have questions, I think we have to move on.
There's one here.
Yeah, who wrote that one? Can you go a little bit up? Oh, it's Zaki. Okay, Zaki, you can take the word and ask.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a little more in detail about how we used Firebase and were we using that for the database, or what were we doing in terms of that?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's someone specific who needs to answer to that, or
Sonia.
Yes. Yes, Zaki, this is Sonia. Yeah, we have actually used Firebase for the authentication and authorization, like on the front end to log in. As if an user wants to log in, then they need to be authenticated. And so we have those users on Firebase, and we added all those users. And on the backend, we have them used as middlewares for each and every endpoint to be protected. And if you want me to explain more on Firebase,
no,
like
I
how
was
it works?
thinking. So what are we doing with the application data? Like all of the measurements and all that stuff. Is that in Firebase as well?
No, it's not in the Firebase. It is in MySQL database. So we have the data, sensors data, and also the users data in MySQL database. And we have synced the Firebase UIDs of the users to MySQL. And that's how we check the user roles and
Cool.
users. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how about I saw on the last project that we did that you could like sign in with Facebook and stuff like that. Would that be difficult to do with a project like this then?
Yes, because it's kind of a customer centric application, like where only these users can be logged in. We do not have anything like sign up in this. So only
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I don't think it makes sense to have Facebook login on a dashboard application for a company like this. But actually, it would be very easy for us to set that up because we use the Firebase. So we just have like Firebase as a middleware for authentication, right?
Yes. Yeah. Firebase would help us on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's
Thanks.
Another question. Did we make the app secure?
The thing is, it's how did you make it?
Yeah, and did we?
Yes, we made the app secure. Yes.
Yeah. How did we manage that?
Yes, on the front end, we have the Firebase API references where we are using for the user to log in. And also on the back end, every endpoint has a middleware where it checks the token of the user information and it compares with the roles and then give access. So if the user role is not I mean, he can if he gets an unauthorized error, that means he's not authorized to that endpoint. Yeah.
Is both the client and the server protected?
Yes. Yes, because on the front end there are also handling checks, which is also coming from Firebase, where if an user or email ID other than that we have in the Firebase is entered, then it would give a error check that it is not an identifier. You are not an identifier, and it's the case with the password as well. If you have incorrect password. Yeah.
We have a follow-up question on the security part. How is the Firebase different from a normal login or another system, right? What does Firebase bring that a customs login wouldn't? What's the advantage?
The advantage is that we have the token, and it's securely used by the Firebase, and it depends. Like, I think we cannot compare it with others, but Firebase was the tool we use for securing, and it was really efficient. The APIs we had on the front end, like sign-in methods for email, it was easy to pick and use it. So that's what we felt.
So maybe a little unfair question, since the students did not have a chance to try doing authentication in another way. But I think the main reason is that Firebase is just very quickly to set up. It's not a lot of lines to get authentication working.
Yeah, true.
Yes. Does any of the other students want to, or graduates want to?
Okay, I'm a little in a better condition now, so I'll just add to what Sonia said. Zaki asked about the application and service secure. So the way Firebase works is assigns a unique user ID for each user, and then also we generate an application key, which is also embedded into the application itself. And on top of that, we also have a long secure encrypted key that goes into an environmental variable, which is not seen, it's only read by the server. So there's like actually it's several levels of security on the application that comes from Firebase.
Yeah, very good.
Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Not, we can also maybe afterwards, if people come up with more questions, there might be some of the graduates that will hang around in the room here and answer questions. Is it okay if I take over?
Yes, please.
So
Please.
I'm going to be kind of doing the last part of this presentation, and it's going to be much less technical because I'm going to talk about the journey of this class 11. And we have saved this for the last part of the presentation this time. Thank you all that are just joining now. The participation with us is the first time we try this. It's really nice to see how many are still listening in. So I'll talk for a few minutes. And then the final, the graduation where it's all going to be recorded a lot more. So yeah, we started August 4th, 2019. I'm always very impressed by the classes graduating, but I'm also very amazed by how your class is really like committed to learning and being on this learning journey together. You started 16 people, and today you are 13 people graduating. So of course, a few have left along the way, and also some people have joined. But you've really put a lot of effort into the community in your class, but also in the entire school, as you see it here. Like we also said in the beginning, you're the first class to graduate online. Yeah. So that's also a milestone in history. And talking about who have joined, I think now you already know from Ricardo's presentation, but yeah, I wanted to mention that Kat and Ricardo have part of our class in Odense, and like you see, it was a smaller class, and luckily they could join now the class 11's final project in this presentation. We're really happy that that worked out that well, and both happy that Kat and Ricardo wanted to, and that class 11 has been so nice to kind of let them join their team. So this is some photos from the first IoT workshop with Sisimi. You all look really concentrated, and like it's a full room. Very, very nice vibe. Very hungry ears. And then there's been a lot of other workshops and events that you've been taking part of. You've been debugging with Pleo. You've been doing .NET masterclasses with Microsoft and Alan. You've also had an intro to automation with Maersk and Magdi. So there's really been a lot of things going on in the past 8 months. With the Tech Barbecue and the GoTo conferences back then when we could still gather more people. Here's this photo from the .NET masterclass, and You've also already been to the Netlight interview workshop. And we'll have more of that hopefully soon. Important to mention is, of course, also the center study groups. You have really, I think, harvested the fruits of all the help you can get from the great center engineers, and also some side improved study groups. So yeah, that has been great to see.
On Thursday,
but most of all, of course, there's been a lot of Sunday classes. Here we have a few photos from different days and different locations. Here at Hacky Future.
Oranges.
We can never praise the mentors enough in this presentation. And I tried to make a count of how many different mentors have been teaching you. And I counted 27. So yeah, thank you to all of them for sharing their knowledge and contributing to this journey.
One slice of Swiss cheese, one slice of salami.
This is always a very important picture in each class. This is when people are halfway through the course, finally over the tough JavaScript 3 module, and in a brand new Hacky Future. There's something wrong with one of my pictures here, but that's a few social pictures, and maybe the most recent with the many small pictures down in the left corner. We had a Corona hackathon where we tried to come up with different solutions, and we mixed the team from all classes to come up with solutions. And I believe that some people in this class were also part of the winning team. So well done on that.
It was Sunday again. The caterpillar ate through ice cream.
That's from our Sunday breakfast before class. That once in a while. And here, last year's julefrokost, where you can see both grown-ups and children are bonding, having a great time.
Can you see big fat?
And this, I also wanted to mention, you have been part of the celebrating when Christopher, the founder of Hacky Future Copenhagen, decided to take a step back from his engagement in Hacky Future. And yeah, thanks for being part of that celebration. It was also the celebration of Hacky Future's 3 years anniversary. That was a big day. And yeah, what now? After a lot of hard work, you're really ready to graduate. But you're also kind of ready to start the new phase of your web developer life, looking for a job. And we know that that's not necessarily an easy task. Now you can be relieved for a second, graduated, but then there's new challenges ahead. And of course, in these times, you might also worry a bit more about how this all will work out. None of us really knows, but we are very confident that you have the skills that needs to make it and find the path you want. So good luck with that. We are here to support you still. This is just some logos from the companies that have employed students in the past. We're really looking forward to add your future employer to the list. Yeah. Where do we go from here? You'll become ambassadors of Hacky Future. You've been taught by students in the past, and that's something we also hope to see, that you want to contribute to more people learning the way you have done. Yes. Because this is what we always say. We say it when you start, and we also say it when you are at the end of the Hacky Future journey. You're part of our community, and you make this community. So we hope that this is not a goodbye, but just let's take a next step in the way we work together. A quick thanks to the foundation that supports us and the different companies. And then this is the this is where we really want to celebrate you, and where it feels a little bit flat to be here on the screen, because normally we would have applause and we would have flowers and certificates for you guys. We would go afterwards out and have some nice food. Unfortunately, it has to stay with this pictures for now, but we'll make sure that once we can gather more than just 20 people, I think we will manage. Then we'll find a way to meet and have a celebration that is not only online, because I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's all, at least here from the official presentation. Like I said, we can stay in the call. People can keep asking questions. I didn't find like an applause sound, but maybe everybody can just turn the mute off and try and. Well, I don't know what's a good way to.
Congratulations, guys. I'm flying my hats. I'm flying my hats here. Congratulations.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for the great presentations.
Congratulations, and Kaiser. I love you.
And thanks for everyone who joined and listened to the presentation. It's been really nice. We have been more than 70 people on this call. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. Looked really nice, and congrats on graduating.
Really nice also to see all the support and congratulations along the in the chat room.
Yeah.
But then maybe you want to say the last word, Daniel?
Well, I definitely want to say thank you to all the mentors that helped Class 11. It's a bit unfair to name one or to give all the names, because all of them were part of and contributed for their learning. So special thanks for them. Special thanks for the ones that helped us during this COVID. It was really important to have you back off the remote setup that we quickly engaged on. It's really good to have you with us. And congratulations to all the students. You really did it. You nailed it.
Hey guys, maybe we can say a couple of words before leaving the call as well. Thank you so much for presenting. We are super impressed. You guys did a really good job, and you have really good reason to be proud of what you've done. It's really super impressive. So give yourself a hand. It's fucking beautiful. So yeah, we'd just like to say thank you, and we will try to keep in contact with Daniel as well, and maybe reach out to some of you. But again, really good job, everyone. I was gonna say something. Yes, try to keep in touch with each other, even though that you are not working on the same project anymore. A lot of you mentioned that you came to this program to learn to program, and you didn't know what an API was or what JavaScript was, and so on. And that's why you came to the program, but you came out the other end with good friends and relationships. So try to keep them, in check. Keep contacting each other, keep writing each other, keep updating each other. You are also in a country where it's really, really nice to know people when you look for positions, internships, jobs. It's a really big thing in Denmark. It can be both for good and bad. But now you have each other, so start from there and work your way up. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It was super nice, super impressive. Even with the little technical iffies happening around, whatever, that's fine. So thank you, and thank you from all of us at CISNI.
Yeah, thank you for your words, Servet, and thank you, Erkan and Christopher, for sharing with us and for being part of this learning journey as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure to work on this project.
Does anybody else want to say something?
Many comments.
Yes.
For what it's worth, I also wanted to say big congratulations to everyone. Didn't want to blend myself in too much, but it was really nice seeing everyone's presentations and hearing about the project that I, well, didn't quite see until the end, but it was super impressive. So I don't know, I loved it. And yeah, congrats. And I hope that we can do some proper diploma ceremony at some point and hand over the trademark Hack Your Future sheet of paper.
We'll make sure that happens.
Yes.
Maybe just for good measure, mention that it's Christopher who's Coriander.
Yeah, you can call me Christopher, but I'm here under my computer's name.
Okay, you didn't go to like a numerologist or something in the meantime?
What's a numerologist?
Isn't it called like that in English, where you get like a new name based on math?
Oh, I mean, now that you say it, I get curious. I thought it's about just calculating around with your birthday and then figuring out how many lives you've already lived. But
something like that. I'm not an expert.
Because my numerologist tells me I'm in my 13th life. Not bad.
That's why you're so wise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's you saying it. I'll take it.
Yes. Okay. Should we wrap up?
Yes, I think there's so many greetings. We forgot if we had any questions.
Yeah.
Remember to celebrate, all of you at home. Me and Daniel will celebrate here at the empty office. And send many greetings and warm thoughts to all of you.
Okay. Thank you again. And see you soon. See you Sunday for some of you. And the others see you around. This was class 11's graduation. Thank you. Cut.